Hey everyone, it's Alex Savage from KTVU Fox 2 News in the San Francisco Bay Area. Today I'm joined once again by Dr. Hansa Bhargava, a pediatrician and the Senior Medical Director at WebMD. Dr. Bhargava, always good to have you on. Thanks for doing it.
Glad to be here.
Today, you want to talk about one change that you think people can make in their lives right now that will really help to lessen the stress that everyone, adults, children, is certainly feeling right now during the coronavirus crisis. What is it?
Absolutely. And we are all feeling stress, whether it's kids or adults. And we had a baseline level of stress to start with, but now with coronavirus, it has increased. The one change that I recommend that has been proven to work is actually taking yourself off of media.
All right. So,
Here we are on media, right?
I know. And look, I get it. I mean, I'm a part of the media, so we've talked about it. It's more challenging for me, but this is important. When you say taking yourself, you mean
Yeah,
like taking more breaks from just
absolutely.
watching news,
Absolutely.
or
So
is it
generally,
like movies, TV shows?
yeah.
You should try not to spend as much time in front of a screen altogether.
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. So the reason we say that, and I do sit on the Media Council on the American Academy of Pediatrics, the council that actually talks about screen time for kids. So we talk about this a lot. But if you actually look at the research studies, and I'll point to one that was really interesting. There was a show that actually talked a lot, not talked, but was based around suicide last year. I'm not going to name the show, but I'm sure everyone knows what it is. And what they found was that after that show aired, after several seasons, there was actually a spike in suicide attempts. And that's basically a relationship. When people see things on TV, they're affected by it, or on the news. And that's what you call suicide contagion. Basically, it's almost like acts like a virus, where you almost feel like when you hear about things, you feel more, you think about them more. So I would say definitely news, and that's just one study. There's been many other studies, and then also social media. And the thing is, Alex, I'm not saying that you got to quit altogether. Like, that's something that we all kind of are depending on right now more than ever, since everything else is taken away. I'm certainly not going to advocate that you should just take yourself
Yeah.
off of media. News is really important, but when you're hearing about coronavirus and the deaths, and it's on shoes, it's in the air, should I go to the grocery store, should I not? Those are things that the more you hear about it, the more stressed out it makes you. So I personally suggest, and experts suggest, that it's good to take breaks, media breaks.
And what is the best strategy for putting your screen time, for taking a media pause, if you will? It sounds like you have developed a strategy for yourself that you found has worked, where it's kind of a 24-hour break.
Yes, and I really try to do it. I am not 100% successful. We always have good days and bad days, so
Okay,
I'll be
good.
honest.
At least we know that you're not 100%
Yeah, we got to just
Okay, good.
try our best, and
Yeah, it's
forgive
hard.
ourselves. We can't, but I think, yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. And as a society, we are somewhat, quote unquote, addicted to news and social media and whatnot. So I think if you do small bites, so what I do personally is I try to take myself off on Friday evenings, and then basically try not to touch it, or maybe just touch it a little bit. By touch, I mean maybe little snippets here and there for about 24 hours. And what I find is, if I do that, I get a reset. So I get re-energized, I'm less anxious, I'm more prepared to actually take on other things. I get that energy burst. And I
Mhm.
think that really helps. And for social media, it's really interesting. They did a study on college kids, and they did a baseline survey of depression, and they looked at depressive symptoms. And then they took one group and put them on these media fasts, for like saying that basically, hey, you guys can use social media, but no more than a couple hours per day. So and then the other group, they said you can use it all the time, anytime, wherever. And what they found was 3 weeks later, the group that had reduced
Mhm.
media usage actually had less symptoms of depression. So it really does work.
So, I mean, excessive screen time and media exposure, it really, the studies do show that it does affect our mental health, especially when we're talking about younger people and
Yes.
teenagers.
Yeah, especially them. But I gotta say, like, I think it's true of adults. I think it's true of most people.
Mhm.
And, if you're a parent and you're telling your kids not to use media so much, and, now, we all have loosened guidelines around that, considering we're all at home. So I'm just going to
Right.
say that because it's very hard as a parent. But if you are using media yourself a lot or watching the news 24/7, that's going to affect you too. And the kids will absorb your anxiety. They can see that you're stressed out. It'll be in your behavior, but kids are little sponges. They know what's going on with mom and dad.
It seems like at a time like this, the big problem is that we're not getting those sort of natural built-in breaks from the screen time. Because we're at home so much more often, and
Yeah,
normally much of our days would be spent at work, at school, playing sports, doing outdoor
yeah,
activities, being out and about in the world. But because we're at home so
exactly.
much more, I mean, do we have a sense of how much more time all of us are spending in front of screens?
I do think it's more, definitely. I haven't looked at the data, but I intuitively, and knowing kids parents who call me struggling with, taking care of their kids and managing their jobs or managing other stressors, there's no doubt that we are doing much more screen time than before. And I would say that, look, we're all struggling that way, and it's stressful, and I'm not telling you not to do any screen time at all. I think the better way, rather than saying, oh no, now she gave me another task to do, I got to reduce my screen time. Instead, I would say flip it and say, hey, I'm going to try and fill up my day, when that day is, whether it's a Saturday or whatever, with not talking about reducing screen time, but filling it up with things like taking a walk or throwing the ball around outside or doing hoops or, just hanging out with your family with a board game. I know that sounds, that's old fashioned fun, but old fashioned fun is sometimes good, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with a good old fashioned board game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What would be your advice? Your the strategies you would suggest to parents when you get that resistance. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my youngest son right now. For some reason, he's popping into my head. But I mean,
Yeah.
he really there's a lot of resistance when you try to tell him that it's
Oh, yeah.
time to time to stop the cartoon that he's watching.
For sure, Alex. I've got two teenagers who give me resistance all day
Yeah.
long. I totally get it. But
One
yeah,
of the
no, I think
scenarios tougher, yeah.
it really depends on the age of the child. Like for 5-year-olds, you probably don't want to go head to head with it. And, you kind of just want to talk about distractions. So it's not about put your device
Yeah.
down, but more like, hey, okay, we're going to go outside in 10 minutes and we're going to do X, Y, or Z. So, and for teens, again, the same thing, like you don't want to battle head to head. If you can distract them, that's better. So, hey, what do you think we can do today as a family? If they don't want to do family time, then, okay, tell me one thing you're going to do outside for 30 minutes. Like, so again, not talking about taking stuff away, but almost talking about things you can do that are not screens, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. What do you believe are going to be the sort of the noticeable benefits for a family that is able to take some of these longer pauses and breaks from screen time and exposure to media? How is that
Yeah.
likely to benefit the entire family?
Absolutely. I really think that it's about the mental health for our families, for us, really. And I think that when you take yourself off of that news feed or social media feed for a little while, it can actually really help your mood. The studies have shown it affects anxiety and depression. And even if you don't have diagnosed anxiety, we all feel mood swings, right? And that can actually help your mood and be more energetic and more productive. And, honestly, it helps creativity as well. So in our jobs where we actually have to write or produce content or, tell stories or do art or whatever, or filmmaking, whatever it is, that actually helps that creative part of your brain get a boost. So there's just so many benefits, I think. And again, you don't want to be stressed out about this. So don't be stressed about it. Just say, hey, I'm going to try to do it when I can. And maybe it'll be this day or maybe that day. And if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. But I'm going to just try. And that's probably a better way
Yeah.
to approach it.
Yeah, I can see it. It could definitely make the adults in a family more productive, probably with their
Yeah.
work from home situation as well. The other thing that occurs to me is that, of course, right now, because students are not in school in a physical classroom right now, inherently they're spending more time in front of a screen. I mean, obviously it's distance learning,
Absolutely.
which is different, but
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of time like spent in front of a computer screen or a tablet screen
Yes.
is a whole lot
Yeah.
more these days in the middle of this whole stay-at-home situation.
It truly is. And like we talked about your 5-year-old son, Alex, and the distraction is, hey, let's throw a ball outside. But for a 15-year-old, it may be, hey, what's on your playlist? Like, you don't have to see a screen to actually listen to great music, right? So how about listening to your playlist and just hanging out or going for a run or, hanging out with your friends? It doesn't have to be screens. So, and lastly, I will add that, I think that when you go to sleep, and people forget about this, like you got to turn those screens off about an hour before, because that blue light can actually interfere with your sleep. And then basically you're also decreasing sleep, which can also make you anxious or depressed, because sleep has a direct correlation with mental health and those moods as well.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's a good reminder for the kids and for me too. Thank you. I needed that.
And for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. We all need the reminder.
We're all trying.
I feel like we are all trying. And it's a tough time. But sometimes I feel like we know these things inherently, but the reminder.
It's hard to apply them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dr. Bhargava, as long as I have you here, let me ask you about a bit of news that has come out here recently having to do with the coronavirus and the outbreak. There have been a number of kids who have been taken to hospitals in the New York area with kind of these mysterious symptoms that seem to be linked to COVID-19. Yeah. The symptoms resemble something called Kawasaki disease. What is that disease, and what exactly is going on here?
Yeah, so Kawasaki is a very, very rare disease. Just to put it in perspective, generally it's like 1 in 10,000 kids who get it. And generally what it is it's a syndrome where kids have a fever, they can get rashes and potentially like peeling, their hands getting red, having lymph glands swollen. So that's what Kawasaki's definition is. It typically happens under the age of 5. Between 1 and 5 typically. And I say typically, but it's, the cases are very, very rare. What they're finding with COVID-19 is that there were some reports in Europe that actually, that were reporting this as well last month, and specifically in the UK and Spain. And they found some kids that actually were having these symptoms, came in with abdominal pain and fever, and then ended up being pretty sick in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So the question is this Kawasaki's because it's initiated by COVID-19? Is it Kawasaki's at all? Is it something else entirely which mimics Kawasaki? And those answers are not clear yet.
Okay, so the direct link between whatever this illness is and COVID-19 is, I mean, we haven't made a direct connection, but there appears to be a link because some of these kids have tested positive for COVID-19, right?
Yeah, some of these kids have tested, but not all. In fact, the reports I've read is less than half are actually testing positive. But because they're testing positive, the doctors and experts are raising those questions. And I think that makes sense. You want to raise those questions and investigate it. But it's just not clear right now about that. And again, Alex, I will point to the fact before parents get really worried that right now it's really rare. If you think about it, 15 kids in all of New York, right, or 20 cases in the UK, or whatever those numbers are, they're very, very small. So I think we should put it in context. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, good. Well, appreciate the information there. And obviously, as we've said so many times before, there's just so much we don't know about this disease that we're just kind of all figuring out on the fly as we go. Well,
and I mean, I think the answer, sorry, Alex, is always the same. Like, if you're worried about your child, you know your child best. If they're not acting right and they don't have all the things I said, but you're worried about them, your gut says that there's something wrong, call your doctor.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll leave it there. It's always good to catch up with you. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Hansa Bhargava, pediatrician
Great
and
to be
senior
here.
medical director with WebMD. And I'll let everyone else know out there, that we have more information, as always, up at coronavirusnow.com. I'm Alex Savage from KTVU Fox 2 News in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'll talk to you next time.